Hugh Jackman's Wolverine could be the new face of Marvel's next decade, but is this too much for the legendary actor? Marvel's latest mega contract with Jackman has fans buzzing about Deadpool crossovers, X-Men reboots, and even Avengers X-Men. With talk of locking him in until he's old enough to play Old Man Logan without makeup, is Marvel pushing the limits or rewriting comic book history? Let's break down this monumental deal and what it could mean for the future of the MCU. Marvel's jokes about Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine forever may not be jokes after all. Recent updates suggest his latest contract involves a long-term commitment that could reshape his role in the MCU. Hugh Jackman's return as Wolverine in Deadpool 3 wasn't a one-off deal. Reports reveal he signed a substantial contract committing him to multiple projects over the next few years. This aligns with Marvel's ambitious plans to weave the X-Men into the MCU's next phase, including Secret Wars and other major team-ups. Insiders hint that Jackman's new contract surpasses his earlier Marvel deals in scale. Marvel seems determined to keep him in the MCU for the foreseeable future, perhaps even until he's 90, as Ryan Reynolds once joked. If that joke becomes reality, we'll know who to thank. For fans wondering what's next, Hugh Jackman's return as Wolverine represents more than nostalgia. It's a major step toward merging the X-Men with the MCU. With Secret Wars on the horizon, Marvel is likely betting on Jackman's star power to help anchor this new era. Recent news confirms that Jackman's latest contract is setting him up for a decade of Marvel movies.
If he comes back, it's going to be in someone else's movie.
No, but seriously though, what does the future hold?
Yeah, Channing Tatum, so excited to play Gambit, and I would happily be the fifth banana in his movie or anyone else.
The plans for Wolverine and Deadpool will always be where can we get them and how quickly and how much. We sort of started the whole machine back up again as we figured out what the grand storyline would be. Now we know very much what the grand storyline is leading up to Secret Wars, but also beyond. And you already mentioned one of them, which is X-Men. So a lot of those characters you'll see either in the culmination of Secret Wars or where we start to gear up in the future post-Secret Wars.
And trying to look like a superhero and move like an even younger Tom Holland.
This move signals Marvel's ambition to weave the X-Men into the MCU's core, and Jackman's Wolverine is positioned to play a central role in this massive transition. Hugh Jackman's new deal with Marvel isn't quite the same as the contracts that defined the original Avengers actors during Marvel's Phase 1. Back then, most of the main cast, except for Robert Downey Jr., signed massive six-picture deals that were almost unheard of in Hollywood at the time. These agreements were part of Kevin Feige's vision to establish complete control over the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Feige's strategy was ambitious. He wanted to ensure the actors were locked in for multiple appearances, giving Marvel the flexibility to include them in any movie when necessary. This approach also prevented potential headaches like actors dropping out before sequels or having to recast major roles mid-storyline. Despite these precautions, Marvel still faced a few recasting hurdles, such as Edward Norton being replaced by Mark Ruffalo as Hulk and Terrence Howard being swapped out for Don Cheadle as War Machine. In the late 2000s, 6 movie contracts were considered groundbreaking. They were designed to cover 3 Avengers movies and a trilogy for each character. However, things didn't go entirely as planned. For instance, when Marvel split Avengers Infinity War into 2 films during the 2010s, they had to renegotiate contracts with the original cast to bring them back for Endgame. This is why actors like Chris Hemsworth received such significant paychecks for Endgame and later agreed to additional appearances, like his 4th solo outing in Thor: Love and Thunder. While some actors, like Samuel L. Jackson, extended their roles into Marvel's Disney Plus series, others signed brand new deals for specific projects. A notable exception to these long-term contracts is Tom Holland, whose Spider-Man rights are controlled by Sony. Unlike his fellow Avengers, Holland's agreements are with Sony, which then collaborates with Marvel to include him in specific MCU movies. His latest contract, for example, covers a new Spider-Man trilogy and additional Avengers appearances. When it comes to Hugh Jackman, his initial deal to reprise Wolverine was much more flexible. It covered Deadpool 3, Wolverine, and Avengers: Secret Wars. Unlike the older Marvel contracts, Jackman's agreement didn't lock him into a long-term commitment. It simply left the door open for future appearances if he chose to return. However, the overwhelming success of Deadpool 3 and Wolverine, one of the highest grossing comic book movies ever, changed the game. After the box office explosion, Ryan Reynolds joked that Marvel might force Jackman to continue playing Wolverine until he's 90. While this may have started as humor, Kevin Feige's public comments after the movie's release indicate otherwise. Feige expressed his eagerness to include Deadpool and Wolverine in as many Marvel movies as possible, as quickly as possible. Now Jackman's role in the MCU seems poised to grow even larger, ensuring he remains a central figure in Marvel's ambitious plans for the future. This brings us to why there's so much buzz about Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds possibly returning for Avengers Doomsday. That film is rumored to take place primarily within the MCU, however, at the end of Deadpool 3, both Wolverine and Deadpool are still situated in the main X-Men universe. For them to join the Avengers storyline, Marvel will need to bridge that gap either with a tag scene in their universe or by transporting them into the MCU using the TVA or some other plot device. Marvel seems less concerned with the mechanics of how Wolverine and Deadpool will transition into the MCU and more focused on maximizing their appearances. The details of their arrival may be secondary to the priority of integrating these fan favorites into future blockbusters. The real intrigue lies in Jackman's rumored new contract, which is said to cover the next 10 years of Marvel film. This aligns with Marvel's overarching plans for their cinematic universe, which currently revolve around Secret Wars and beyond. According to reports, Marvel wants Jackman to stick around long enough to complete a trilogy of Deadpool and Wolverine films. Why 10 years? It seems to be a strategic number. A decade offers enough time to develop major storylines while ensuring flexibility for both Jackman and Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds has been vocal about taking a long break before attempting another standalone Deadpool movie, preferring to focus on crossovers into other Marvel films in the meantime. This approach allows him to appear in collaborative projects without the pressure of leading an entire movie. This strategy likely applies to Hugh Jackman as well. While he's expressed enthusiasm about returning as Wolverine, it's clear he doesn't want the demanding workload that comes with leading multiple solo films. Instead, Jackman would rather make brief but impactful appearances in crossover events or team-ups. These shorter commitments allow him to avoid the grueling 6-month schedules required for solo projects, while still keeping Wolverine's presence alive in the MCU. Ryan Reynolds has openly discussed the physical and mental toll of making Deadpool films, including its impact on his family life. Hugh Jackman faces similar challenges, with the intense demands of portraying Wolverine becoming increasingly difficult as he ages. Marvel's solution to this is practical and actor-friendly. Shorter commitments, fewer solo films, and more collaborative appearances. This approach ensures Jackman and Reynolds can continue to bring their characters to life without overwhelming themselves, while also keeping fans excited to see Wolverine and Deadpool in future Marvel projects. Hugh Jackman's rumored new deal would allow him to appear in some of the upcoming X-Men films set to release in Marvel's next phase, often referred to as the Mutant Saga. While Marvel has yet to officially label this phase likely Phase 7, it's expected to follow Secret Wars and mark the start of a new era for the MCU. This period could spotlight mutants, giving Jackman the chance to take part in pivotal comic-instructed moments that fans have long wanted to see brought to life. One of the most exciting possibilities would be an actual Wolverine versus Hulk showdown. There's been plenty of buzz about Marvel's future plans for Hulk, including adaptations of World War Hulk or World War Hulks. Pairing Wolverine with Hulk in a movie would be an easy win for fans of both characters, and Jackman's Wolverine could seamlessly make a cameo appearance in a Hulk-centric film to deliver this epic clash. Another major opportunity for Jackman to return would be a potential Avengers vs. X-Men film. If Marvel plans to move away from the traditional Avengers model after Secret Wars, this could serve as a fresh and highly anticipated concept for what could have been Avengers 7. By building the narrative around the X-Men and positioning the Avengers as supporting characters, Marvel could avoid potential audience fatigue from yet another Avengers-centric storyline, while still drawing massive box office appeal. However, this type of film is likely at least 7-8 years away, given the current pacing of the MCU storyline development. The rumored return of the Russo brothers to direct films in the mutant saga could mark a pivotal moment for Marvel's next chapter. While unrelated to Jackman's contract, their involvement would reinforce Marvel's dedication to building a compelling narrative, amplified by the star power of Jackman's Wolverine. As for the future of the Deadpool and Wolverine franchise, it seems less certain that Ryan Reynolds will commit to 2 more films in the next decade. It's more realistic that we'll get 1 more Deadpool movie, potentially serving as a sequel to Deadpool 3 and acting as Deadpool and Wolverine 2. Reynolds has been vocal about the intense demands of leading these films, and Jackman likely shares the sentiment. Both actors seem more inclined to make cameo appearances or participate in ensemble projects rather than taking on the burden of leading multiple solo films. This strategy aligns with Marvel's broader plans. They could introduce a younger mainline MCU Wolverine played by a new actor for solo films and the day-to-day storytelling, while reserving Jackman's version for significant crossover events such as Secret Wars or Avengers vs. X-Men. It's a win-win scenario that allows Marvel to balance legacy nostalgia with new character development. Finally, Secret Wars is expected to act as a soft reboot for the MCU. With Deadpool permanently transitioning from the X-Men universe to the MCU, it would make sense to bring Jackman's Wolverine along as well. Marvel appears committed to leveraging the star power of legacy actors like Jackman for major moments, while paving the way for a new generation of characters and actors to take the lead. While there are still plenty of unanswered questions about how these legacy characters will fit into the MCU's evolving storyline, one thing is clear: Marvel is aiming to keep fan favorites like Wolverine and Deadpool in the mix for years to come, whether through cameos, team-ups, or major cinematic events. If Marvel is simplifying the MCU into a single unified timeline post-Secret Wars, the opportunities for legacy actors like Hugh Jackman to return are limitless. Imagine a future where Wolverine isn't just a one-off cameo, but a staple for big ensemble films, or where he plays a pivotal role in shaping the next generation of X. But let's face it, Jackman isn't getting any younger, and Marvel could lean into this by letting him age naturally into the legendary Old Man Logan storyline from the comics. No makeup needed this time, just raw, gritty authenticity as Jackman embodies Wolverine in his twilight years. What if Marvel created a standalone Old Man Logan film set far in the future, featuring a battle-worn Wolverine going toe-to-toe with an equally aged Hulk, or revisiting iconic characters we haven't seen in years? Picture it. A grizzled Wolverine teaming up with an older, battle-hardened X-Men cast, giving us a film dripping with nostalgia while still delivering epic storytelling. Sure, it would have to be an Elseworld-style movie outside the main timeline, but wouldn't it be worth it to see those iconic actors return one last time? Now, here's where you come in. If Hugh Jackman really does stick around for the next decade, what movies do you want to see him in? Would you prefer more Deadpool and Wolverine team-ups, or should he cameo in other big projects like Avengers vs. X-Men, or even an X-Force spin-off? And speaking of legacy characters, which other X-Men or Avengers actors would you love to see join Jackman for one last... Let's take it a step further. If Marvel were to go all in on an Old Man Logan film in the next 15 years, what classic Wolverine storylines or rivalries would you want to see on the big screen? Would you love an Old Man Logan vs. Hulk showdown, or an older X-Men squad facing the struggles of a dystopian future? Drop your ideas in the comments. There's so much to discuss and speculate about as Marvel lays the groundwork for its future phases. With Secret Wars looming and rumors of massive trailers like Fantastic Four and Daredevil Born Again just around the corner, there's no better time to stay connected. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and enable alerts so you don't miss any updates. Click here to dive into all the confirmed actors showing up in Avengers Doomsday, and click here to catch my deep dive into Daredevil Born Again trailer footage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.